First of all, I believe that everybody has to answer to God at some point.
That's neither here
And
nor there in this discussion, sir.
if I think that, yes, it is, because I'm saying that, like, okay, at the end of the day, if you make that decision to have an abortion, you one day will have to answer for
Oh,
what you
wait.
decided to
That's
do.
neither
Who?
here nor there in this discussion. I asked you what you believed in. You told me that you think that it's personally wrong, but it still should be legal, so other individuals can make that decision for themselves. And then I explain how this is closer to the view of Harris compared to the view of Trump. And now you're just kind of going back into the whole religious answer to God thing. That's neither here nor there. Hey, what is going on, Matt? Do you support Trump?
Yeah. What's
Matt,
up,
you,
man?
you do. All right. Take it away. Tell us why you support Trump, the worst president of your lifetime.
I think that he mostly kind of like aligns with what my beliefs are, like the
Like what?
Like what belief specifically?
like religion and
Donald Trump is
um
a terrible Christian.
Also, Kamala Harris is also Christian.
Significantly better Christian than him. I mean, like, hey, this guy said in 2018 that he's never had to ask God for forgiveness a day in his life. He sold a Bible attached to the Constitution for over $100. He was like smoke bombing, people that were protesting him so he could take a photo shoot in front of a church.
well, I'm
Not
not
to mention
saying
that
that
he's an
he's
adjudicated
just the
rapist and he
best.
wants to redistribute wealth from the poor to the rich. Sir, he's like nearly
I'm not
committed like
saying that
every
he's the
sin in
best
the Bible.
Christian. I'm not saying that he's the best Christian, but the fact that he actively like displays it,
I'm so
talks
sorry,
about
sir.
it,
Isn't this
but
what the Antichrist does? Like false preachers? I'm pretty sure that in the eyes of the gospel, in the eyes of Jesus, if Christianity were to be true, like this is almost worse than just claiming you're not a Christian point blank. Period.
no, the
I mean,
Antichrist is meant to be
what is
loved
what
by
is
everyone.
what is the verse, the section of the gospel where Jesus talks about if you claim to be one of his own sheep and you still transgress upon his law, that essentially upsets him significantly more than if you just simply don't claim to be a Christian at all.
But like, no, the Antichrist is meant to be loved by everybody. So since he has so many haters, he can't be.
Well, I think the more so the sentiment that I'm
Well,
getting at here is like seemingly people that claim to be Christian that don't abide by the Testament are loathed by Jesus.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
People that claim to be Christian that don't abide by the Testament are loathed by Jesus.
Well, not everybody's like a perfect Christian, but I mean, we all have to try, right? Try our
Then why the
best.
hell did you vote for him? Because of your Christian values. I mean, he's not. It's not like he's
Well,
passing like
that's
pro-Christian
part. That's
policy.
just a small part of it, like the abortion thing too, and t-shirts and sports.
Okay,
I
well,
know you can't talk about that, so I won't. But
okay. So about like abortion, you think that abortion should be illegal?
so I have a mixed opinion on that because I don't think my personal opinion is that it should be legal per se, but I mean, we do live in America where we should have the liberty to do whatever we want.
So which one is it? Should it be legal or illegal? Should we have the liberty to do whatever we want, or should we let your preference,
freedom.
or should
So
we
as
let
far
your
as
preferences and faith dictate what women and girls can and can't do with their bodies? Which one
as
is it?
far as legally speaking, I do not think that I think it's okay that it's legal, but do I agree with it? No, not at all.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. Like, I'm pretty sure that this belief aligns more with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
Yes, it
because
does.
Kamala Harris is a Baptist. She likely thinks that abortion is wrong for the same reasons you do, but she advocated for federal protections for every single American
But
woman
I'm
and
saying
girl,
that
so they can make that
my
decision for
personal
themselves. But then Donald Trump, on the other hand, I mean, he turned it over to the states so they could ban it, which has led 60 great victims per day being denied access to abortion and 66 million American women and girls left without the ability to make that decision for themselves because their Republican congressmen and women took that liberty
Okay, but
away
that
from them.
aligns with what I believe in.
You just told us that that is antithetical to what you believe in. You told us what you believe in is
No,
that
no,
it's
no.
wrong, but we
You're,
should still have individual liberties and the ability to make that decision for oneself. In fact,
I
this
think
contradicts what you believe in if what you just told us you believed in was true.
so. First of all, I believe that everybody has to answer to God at some point.
That's neither here
And
nor there in this discussion, sir.
if I think that, yes, it is, because I'm saying that, like, okay, at the end of the day, if you make that decision to have an abortion, you one day will have to answer for
Oh,
what you
wait.
decided to
That's
do.
neither
Who?
here nor that's neither here nor there in this discussion. I asked you what you believed in. You told me that you think that it's personally wrong, but it still should be legal, so other individuals can make that decision for themselves. then I explain how this is closer to the view of Harris compared to the view of Trump, and now you're just kind of going back into the whole religious answer to God thing. That's neither here nor there. So respond
Well,
directly
I was
to what
just
I'm
making a
saying. The
comment about
candidate
it.
who upheld the position that liberty should be in the hands of the women and the girls, they should be able to make that decision for themselves, even though they may think it's wrong. That was Kamala Harris. Donald Trump's position is that liberty should be outside of the hands of women and girls, including victims of rape.
Well,
What this tells us is that in accordance with your values, Kamala Harris had more preferable policy on abortion compared to Trump.
not preferable in my opinion.
So
though.
then you don't think it should be legal, right? You think it should be illegal.
I
You think it
don't
should
know.
be criminal to
Okay,
get an
then
abortion.
yes. To clarify, yeah, I think it should be illegal. Then yes.
Okay, why?
However, based on
No, I don't want
laws,
to. I don't want to. However, I want you to tell us why.
well, it's like I don't think that people should drink alcohol, but I mean, we live in a country where you should have liberty to do whatever you want.
Do these two things contradict one another? You're saying that abortion should be illegal and women should not have access because you should have liberty to do whatever you want? That's incoherent
No,
garbage. Like, sorry, sir,
it's not-
that is incoherent garbage. You're saying yes, but no,
It's
but
not
yes, but no.
contradicting because I'm an individual who has an opinion on something.
You're saying that women shouldn't have the liberty to get an abortion because they should have the liberty to do whatever they want. That's gibberish.
Matt, what you're saying is that you disagree with women getting abortions, but you think that they should be allowed to do it.
Yes, that's
Okay,
that's a good
so
way.
then
to-
you're saying it should be legal, but it's morally wrong.
Am I going
the same
crazy?
position that's the same position
Yes.
that's the same position that Kamala Harris has. That she thinks it's morally wrong, but she thinks it
But the
should be
fact that
legal.
I said
Donald
that I
Trump,
think
Donald
it's
Trump
morally
thinks
wrong.
Donald Trump thinks it's morally wrong, but thinks it should be left up to the states, meaning that in certain states,
Toasty, thank you for the
women's
toasty.
access to abortion will be restricted, even if they've been sexually assaulted.
Wait, am I
So
going
do you not-
crazy? Wait, I'm so sorry.
Do you not see how that more aligns with what I'm saying?
Full stop. Am I going insane? I described this to you twice. So I'm going to describe it for a fourth time. Okay? You think abortion wrong, but you think it should be legal, right?
So no, like
What?
It's-
You
it's
just
hard for me
affirmed
to
that's how you
explain what I'm-
feel. You literally just told
No.
Parker that's how you feel.
Dude, this guy
no,
doesn't
I
even know
don't
where
think
he is.
I don't think it's morally right for people to be allowed to have an abortion.
Oh,
But
okay.
I don't
So
make the laws.
okay.
So if I can elect somebody who I
do you
believe to
think-
make the
do you
laws that I
think that
believe
women,
in,
do you think that abortion should be legal or should abortion be illegal? I want you to clarify. I'm going to write down your belief. Which one is it? Legal or illegal?
I think that it should be illegal.
Abortion should be illegal dash
Fair.
mad av IMI. Okay, I got that written down.
Like
You
people
can't-
should not be able to get access to it, right?
Yeah, I got that written down. You can't take it back now. That's your belief. Okay?
Okay.
So now watch this. Why should abortion be illegal?
Why should it be illegal? You're asking me why it should be illegal?
Yes.
Because it's morally wrong.
Okay, and why is it morally wrong?
Because it's a living being that shouldn't be aborted.
Okay, so you're saying it's morally wrong because it's morally wrong. That's circular logic, sir. I can merely argue that it's not morally wrong because it's not morally wrong.
I'm saying that I think that it's morally wrong, so it shouldn't happen.
So why is it morally
Those-
wrong?
Yeah, should it be
Those
legal then?
fetuses should have a chance to life.
He said
Like,
it should be illegal.
But do you think that like women should have the choice on whether or not they get access to abortion
He
legally?
doesn't.
No,
he
not-
doesn't. 'Cause
no,
Remember, we
no.
clarified that he
No
thinks it
choice?
should be
Okay.
illegal.
I just wanted to clarify again. So
No.
again, you said because they're living. Do you think it's murder for me to pull the plug on an individual in my family that's brain dead?
No,
No? Okay, but they're cellularly alive. There's human cellular
Okay.
life there.
but they don't have. If they're brain dead, they don't have potential for future
Like subjective experience.
sentience anymore.
Okay, so what do you consider valuable? Life or future subjective experience?
Future subjective experience, I suppose.
So any set of occurrences that has a future subjective experience, you would consider valuable?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in the context of someone engaging in intercourse, right, with their significant other, there's a high likelihood that there's going to be a subjective experience. Do you consider that valuable? Or
I'm
do you think
sorry.
it would
Can you
be-
say that again?
Do you think it would be wrong for someone to to pull out, given that it would reduce the likelihood of there being a subjective experience in the future?
Yeah, but that it hasn't begun yet, though. So there isn't a potential for it yet.
So once subjective experience begins, then it's important, or then it's valuable.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so then you have the same position as Dean and I, and then you don't think it should be wrong to get access to an abortion, right, in the first trimester?
No, because I don't think
until 20
for
weeks.
convenience. For convenience, I think that's wrong.
Okay. Dude,
An
this
abortion
guy,
for convenience.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go insane.
Okay, so now, I mean, now you've shifted to another argument because now you're telling us that the reason an abortion is wrong is because of like mental states of the woman who's getting an abortion. So, I mean, all that you're
Mental
telling
states?
us, yeah, you're saying that, oh, she's doing it for like quote unquote convenience. Well, like the reason that you're describing has nothing to do with like the intrinsic value of the fetus and all to do with your perceptions of the responsibility or lack thereof of the woman getting the
They
abortion.
go hand in hand.
So
they go
don't-
hand in hand.
If they went hand in hand, then you would be able to respond to Parker's argument, but you completely shifted and changed your argument to no longer being about the value in a fetus, and now it's all about the fact that it's inconvenient to the woman. You told us that
It's
the
about
fetus
both.
only becomes morally valuable when it has the ability to deploy consciousness. Well, that only occurs at about 20 gestational weeks. So, under your own view, fetuses don't have value before then.
What do you mean? As soon as so I believe that at the point where a fertilized egg goes down the fallopian tube and enters into the uterus and is implanted, that is the point in which
Oh.
there shouldn't be any return.
So implantation is where you consider it to be valuable.
Correct.
Is it not
What
an
is the
innocent
difference
human
in-
life with a potential for future sentience before implantation, but after
Well, because there's
conception?
there's
Exactly.
possibility that before that point it won't make it.
Okay, well, is it
Wait,
possible
so
for a
point one
zygote
second.
after implantation to not make it?
Say that again. Both
Is
of
it-
you talked at the same time.
Is it possible for a zygote after the moment of implantation to never see the light of day?
It's possible, but it's on the point. It's at the point where it's beginning to grow.
Wait, so it doesn't. Wait, what do you mean beginning to grow? I
So
mean,
he
cellular
considers the
reproduction.
growth to be valuable.
So
He doesn't consider the life.
cellular reproduction starts the moment of conception, even before implantation. You could observe cellular reproduction outside of implantation under like the microscope of an IVF practitioner. There's seriously videos online of sperm being
Okay.
implanted into an egg and then cellular reproduction begins. So under your view, you would value it from the moment of conception.
Okay.
And then are women murderers if they have IUDs?
I don't even want to run this.
No.
I'm like very close to kicking this
That's-
guy because he's just absolutely incoherent.
That's not it.
Okay, man, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with us? Like, I'm not even like trying to be mean to you, but I just don't feel like you're giving us a coherent position.
Well, you can sit here and call my position incoherent, but I see you on the live every day. I watch you all the time. I actually appreciate watching your guys' lives. But all you do is cry about you can't get debates, and then you just want to kick me after we're having a discussion about something. So
Well, honestly, like my thoughts are, man, is like I know that I'm not like portraying it to you. However, like internally, like I get like very like angry, upset, and annoyed, and like my cortisol levels definitely go up a little bit when I'm having a conversation with somebody and they're flip flopping their position every single word they say for like 10 minutes straight. It like just seriously like damages my soul. Now, like I think that I have an ability to kind of control that and demonstrate like a certain level of patience. But like at this point, it's not only just making me very impatient and making me upset, but I just think that the lack of a position, because you don't really have one and you keep changing it every 5 seconds, is like probably bad for the productivity of the live.
well, it's hard for me to explain my positioning because I'm going to be honest. It probably does sound incoherent and very imbalanced on where I stand, but I simply, on this particular topic, I am pro-life. So I believe that that abortion should not be happening. And if I can vote for a representative,
Do you think that great victims should be able to have access to abortion?
so I have another opinion on that. So I don't believe that there should be abortions, period. However, I think there's another approach that can be taken to
So you
great
don't think
victims.
that great victims should be able to access abortion? Could I tell you why they should, even if you're pro-life?
on my libertarian side of thinking, then yes, I do in those particular situations.
These are the contradictions I'm talking about that is making this conversation unproductive. I asked you if you think that that great victims should be able to access abortion, and you respond by saying that you don't think that anybody should be able to get abortions, period. But there's other things that great victims could do. But then you clarify by saying
No,
yes, great
not
victims should be able to
great
get
victims
abortion and make
themselves.
exceptions. What? See, like this is
No,
this is the incoherence I'm referencing. This doesn't make
No,
any sense.
I think that there should be stricter punishments on rapists in order to reduce that scenario
But I just
ever
want to
even
clarify:
happening.
you don't think that great victims should be able to access abortion, right?
I think that it should, like, preferably in my heart, what I believe in is that they shouldn't have an abortion. However, like I said, the libertarian in me believes that
sir, should great victims be able to access abortion? Yes or no?
yes,
Yes. Okay. You just said that there
yes.
shouldn't be any abortions being cleared. At this point, I am going to kick you. Have a good rest of your day. We are going to move on to the next guest because that is just a completely incoherent, garbled, like nonsensical like view. He says yes, then no, then yes again, but then no 3 times, but then yes one last time. It's just complete gibberish.